I don't know how this isn't trending right now, but across the globe, there are 15 abandoned submarines, each with a story more fascinating than the last. From the eerie yellow submarine left forgotten in Coney Island to the largest underwater leviathan ever constructed, these technological marvels now lie deserted. Dive in as we uncover the tales of these incredible submarines that actually exist. Number 15. Russian Submarine B80. During the tense period of the Cold War, the Russian Submarine B80 stood out as a notable creation from the 402 shipyard in Molotov, Russia. Its service record was diverse, including a significant patrol assignment to the South Atlantic in 1958, alongside the B-75. This mission saw them patrolling the coast of South America before the B-80 returned to the Arctic Ocean in 1968. Later, it ventured into the Mediterranean, taking up a station in Alexandria, Egypt. Eventually, the B-80 returned to the Northern Fleet, where it continued its patrol duties in the Northern Sea until 1988. At this point, it was placed in reserve and was officially decommissioned in 1990. However, the submarine's story did not end with its decommissioning. In 1991, the B-80 was sold to private buyers in the Netherlands. It changed hands multiple times, with various new owners proposing plans to renovate and repurpose it. Despite these ambitions, the B-80 was never improved. The submarine's fate took a turn for the worse in 2019 amidst legal disputes over its rightful ownership. Eventually, the City Council of Amsterdam made the decision to have the B-80 dismantled, marking a sorrowful conclusion to the vessel's history. What began as a functional submarine, integral to Cold War naval operations, ended as a subject of contention, ultimately leading to its dismantlement. Number 14. USS Scorpion. Launched on December 19, 1959, and commissioned on July 29, 1960, the USS Scorpion represented a pinnacle of naval engineering as a nuclear-powered submarine in the United States Navy. It was the sixth vessel and the second submarine to be named Scorpion within the U.S. Navy, boasting a significant presence stationed primarily in Norfolk, Virginia. Measuring 251 feet in length and powered by a single Westinghouse S-5W nuclear reactor, the Scorpion could navigate the depths at an impressive speed of 33 knots. Equipped with 533mm torpedo tubes and a range of anti-surface and anti-submarine weaponry, including 2 nuclear torpedoes, the submarine was a formidable force during the Cold War era, especially amidst tense standoffs between the U.S. and the USSR. However, the service life of the USS Scorpion was tragically cut short. In February 1967, it entered the Norfolk Naval Shipyard for a supposed comprehensive overhaul. Due to Cold War pressures and an urgent need for its service, only emergency repairs were carried out, with some critical safety updates being overlooked. Commander Francis Slattery took command, and the Scorpion was deemed ready for service several months later. Its final mission commenced on February 15, 1968, when it set sail for the Mediterranean as part of the Sixth Fleet. After completing routine operations, it embarked on a high-stakes espionage mission against the Soviet Naval Task Force near the Canary Islands. On May 21, 1968, the Scorpion reported its position, 250 miles southwest of the Azores, estimating its return on May 27. Yet, it never resurfaced, sparking widespread concern and leading to an extensive search operation. Initially, the Navy covered up the incident, claiming the Scorpion was on a routine operation and failed to return without further explanation. However, it was later disclosed that the Navy was aware of the Scorpion's sinking a day after its last communication, a full 5 days before its scheduled return. This revelation fueled various theories regarding its fate, from internal mechanical failures to possible confrontations with Soviet forces. The wreck of the USS Scorpion was discovered later in 1968 by the research ship USNS Mizar, lying approximately 2 miles deep on the ocean floor. Various investigations were conducted, but the official Navy report stated that the cause of the loss could not be determined from the available evidence. Over the years, speculation has continued to swirl around the Scorpion's demise, with theories ranging from internal failures to hostile engagements. Yet, the exact cause of the sinking of the USS Scorpion remains an enduring mystery, encapsulating one of the most profound unsolved cases in naval history. Number 13. Coney Island Submarine. Coney Island, well known as an amusement resort, conceals a fascinating bit of history. When peering into the murky waters of Coney Island Creek, one can easily spot a yellow submarine just beneath the water's surface. The submarine's tale started in the 1960s with Jerry Bianco, a ship fitter from the Brooklyn Navy Yard. Bianco stumbled upon a rumor that 6 German U-boats, loaded with mercury, were sunk off Long Island. His goal was to discover them and then proceed to salvage the Andrea Doria, an Italian liner, for its scrap metal worth $6 million and a solid silver figurehead valued at $250,000. Naturally, Bianco concocted a plan to access these submerged treasures, a submarine capable of reaching the wreck. With limited resources, Bianco began building this yellow submarine using scrap metal from the yards along Coney Island Creek. The submarine's color was not a choice for its visual appeal, but was dictated by the cost of paint. Yellow chromium paint was notably the most affordable option at that time. Thus, through one man's determination, Questor 1 was completed. Its launch in 1970 was met with great anticipation but resulted in a comedic outcome. On its maiden voyage, the submarine unfortunately tilted sideways and got lodged in the creek. This incident, widely covered by the media, made Bianco the butt of local jokes, at least for some. Despite attempts to upright the submarine and restore its functionality, the vessel never fulfilled its original goal. Over the years, parts of the submarine were pilfered, and it was left to decay quietly in the creek. Today, Questor 1, with its dimmed yellow paint and rusty shell, stands as an intriguing spectacle in Coney Island Creek. This oddity, over 4 decades old, still draws visitors to the creek. Number 12. HMCS Ojibway. As the inaugural submarine of the Royal Canadian Navy, HMCS Ojibway holds a place of prominence, having been commissioned on September 23, 1965. This vessel was instrumental during the Cold War, constructed at the Chatham Dockyard in the UK. Its keel was laid on September 27, 1962, and it was launched on February 29, 1964. Designed for stealth and efficiency, the Ojibway was notably lighter and smaller than other units, boasting a displacement of 1,358 tons when surfaced and 2,487 tons when submerged. It stretched approximately 295 feet in length and was capable of speeds up to 12 knots surfaced and 17 knots submerged. The submarine was armed with 8 21-inch torpedo tubes, marking it as one of the Canadian Navy's most formidable assets. The Ojibway, along with its Oberon-class siblings, was celebrated for its quiet operation, making it one of the world's stealthiest submarines. These vessels were assigned to demanding tasks, such as tracking Soviet ballistic missile submarines across the Atlantic during the 1970s. With its armament, speed, and agility, it functioned like a finely tuned instrument. In its heyday, the Ojibway also took part in intelligence-gathering missions, thanks to an exchange program with the Royal Navy. The storied career of the HMCS Ojibway came to a close on May 21, 1998, when it was decommissioned and transitioned to a new role as a museum ship. Those interested can visit it in Port Burwell, Ontario, Canada, where it now resides. Number 11. USS Cavala. On February 29, 1944, the USS Cavala, a Gatto-class submarine, was brought into service by the United States Navy. For those with a keen interest in the 2 world wars, this submarine might ring a bell as either the Lucky Lady or the Avenger of Pearl Harbor. Cavala distinguished itself in several key victories for the Navy, embarking on 6 war patrols throughout World War II across the Philippine Sea, the South China Sea, and the Java Sea. On these missions, Cavala wasn't just a formidable force against enemy ships, it also undertook rescue operations, like assisting the damaged HMS Terrapin in 1945. However, Cavala's most notable achievement was the sinking of the Japanese aircraft carrier Shokaku on June 19, 1944. The Shokaku had been one of the carriers that attacked Pearl Harbor, making this victory especially significant. For this outstanding performance, Cavala received a Presidential Unit Citation. Although decommissioned in 1946, Cavala's story didn't end there. The submarine was recommissioned in 1951 during the Cold War and converted into a hunter-killer submarine. This redesign, equipped with advanced sonar systems, allowed Cavala to excel in various roles, including participation in NATO exercises, until its final decommissioning in 1969. Today, the USS Cavala is preserved at the American Undersea Warfare Center in Galveston, Texas, where it serves as a museum ship at SeaWorld Park. Number 10. German Submarine U47. If you have an interest in submarines, you might already be familiar with the German Submarine U47. This vessel is among the most famous and dreaded submarines of World War II, celebrated for its exceptional effectiveness. U-47 stands as one of the most successful German U-boats of the war, having been commissioned into the Kriegsmarine on December 17, 1938. This Type 7B U-boat embarked on a storied career, sinking 31 enemy vessels, including the distinguished British battleship HMS Royal Oak, and damaging 9 others. Over its service life, U-47 completed 10 combat patrols, spending a total of 238 days at sea, and achieving a remarkable tonnage in sunk enemy ships. Its most notorious achievement was the raid on Scapa Flow on October 14, 1939. In a bold and risky operation, U-47 infiltrated the British naval base and sank the HMS Royal Oak. This mission, executed under the skilled leadership of its commander, showcased the U-47's daring and precision. However, the end of U-47 is enveloped in mystery. On March 7, 1941, it disappeared off the radar in the North Atlantic, south of Iceland. The exact cause of its loss remains uncertain, with theories suggesting it could have fallen victim to mines, a malfunction of its own torpedo, or an attack by British corvettes. All 45 crew members were lost with the submarine. Despite its vanishing, there are those who believe it remains out there, abandoned and unused, marking a silent witness to the submarine's legendary exploits and mysterious fate. Number 9. USS Nautilus. The story of Captain Hyman G. Rickover is a pivotal chapter in naval history, highlighting his crucial role in birthing the nuclear navy. Rickover's vision and determination were instrumental in the development of the USS Nautilus, SSN 571, which stands as the world's first operational nuclear-powered submarine. The construction of the Nautilus commenced at the Electric Boat Division in Groton, Connecticut, on June 14, 1952, during Harry S. Truman's presidency. The vessel was then christened and launched on January 21, 1954, by Mamie Eisenhower, but it wasn't until September 30, 1954, that the Nautilus officially joined the naval fleet under Commander Eugene P. Wilkinson's leadership. The Nautilus broke new ground with its operational capabilities, setting off on its maiden voyage powered by nuclear energy on January 17, 1955. Throughout its active years, the submarine set numerous records, such as the longest submerged cruise and the fastest sustained submerged speed of its time. Among its many feats, the Nautilus's journey beneath the geographic North Pole in August 1958 stands out as a historic milestone, a journey unachieved by any vessel prior. After contributing significantly over 25 years and traversing an impressive 500,000 miles, the Nautilus was retired on March 3, 1980. In recognition of its monumental impact on naval history and technology, it was declared a National Historic Landmark in 1982. Presently, it serves as a museum ship at the Submarine Force Museum in Groton, Connecticut, preserving its legacy for future generations. Number 8. HMS Thetus. The story of HMS Thetus is a poignant and brief chapter in naval history. This submarine, belonging to the Group 1T class of the Royal Navy, measured 275 feet in length and had a beam of 26 feet 6 inches. On the surface, it displaced 1,090 long tons. It boasted two 5,000 horsepower diesel engines and two 2,900 horsepower electric motors, enabling it to reach speeds of 15.25 knots on the surface and 9 knots submerged, making it a formidable presence in the water. However, its maiden voyage was marred by disaster. During dive trials in Liverpool Bay on June 1, 1939, the Thetis was not just carrying its standard crew of 59 but also 44 additional individuals, including shipyard workers, technical advisors, and naval observers, which led to overcrowded conditions that complicated the vessel's test operations. A grave mistake occurred when the torpedo tube outer doors failed to seal correctly, attributed to obstructed drain tubes. This oversight resulted in uncontrollable flooding in the forward torpedo room. Attempts to surface were partially successful as the submarine's stern rose, but it ultimately sank bow first into 150 feet of water. Although the stern momentarily breached the surface, most of the crew were trapped inside. Only 4 individuals managed to escape via the submarine's escape chamber, while the remaining 99 succumbed to carbon dioxide poisoning, unable to find a way out. Following this tragedy, the Thetis was recovered, repaired, and relaunched as HMS Thunderbolt in 1940. As Thunderbolt, it briefly served in World War II, even sinking the Italian submarine Capitano Tarantini in the Bay of Biscay in December 1940. Nevertheless, Thunderbolt's fate was sealed when it was sunk off Sicily on March 14, 1943, with all hands on board, marking the vessel's second and final sinking. Number 7. LTIS. Formidable and fearsome, aptly capture the essence of what LTIS conveys in French. Launched on March 29, 1967, this behemoth was the lead boat of its class and the inaugural ballistic missile submarine of the French Marine Nationale. Its name, embodying strength and power, was well chosen for a vessel measuring 420 feet in length and tipping the scales at 8,000 tons. Fueled by a pressurized water reactor, LTIS boasted speeds exceeding 20 knots. Over time, it received several upgrades aimed at enhancing its missile capabilities. Throughout its operational life, LTIS embarked on 51 patrols, each lasting 70 days, amassing around 990,000 hours underwater and traversing approximately 800,000 miles. This distance is the equivalent of circumnavigating the globe not once, not twice, but an astounding 32 times. After nearly 24 years of dedicated service, LTIS transitioned from a formidable active-duty vessel to a museum ship, welcoming the public since 2002 at a naval museum in Cherbourg, France. Today, it stands as the largest submarine accessible to visitors, continuing to awe and educate with its storied past. Number 6. USS Clamagore. On February 25, 1945, the USS Clamagore, a Below-class submarine, was launched by the Electric Boat Company in Groton, Connecticut. Named after the blue parrotfish, notable for its presence in the shallow waters of the West Indies and the Chesapeake Bay, the Clamagore embarked on her service during a time of global conflict. Interestingly, she never fired a shot in combat throughout her wartime service. Her initial duties were carried out in Key West, Florida, where she participated in operations with various fleet units and contributed to training at the Fleet Sonar School. It wasn't long before she earned the nickname the Gray Ghost off the Florida coast, attributed to her stealth and efficiency. The submarine underwent 2 significant upgrades, transitioning from a Guppy 2 to the more advanced Guppy 3 configuration. This transformation included a 15-foot hull extension and the installation of the Puff's passive-ranging sonar, making her one of only 9 boats to receive such comprehensive modifications. Serving the Navy for 3 decades, the Clamagore witnessed the transition from World War II to the Cold War, silently adapting to the evolving strategies of naval warfare. After being decommissioned in 1975, she began a new chapter as a museum ship at the Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum in Charleston, South Carolina, in 1979. Unfortunately, by 2022, due to significant deterioration, the Clamagore was dismantled and recycled, marking the end of her storied existence. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. During World War II, the oceans became graveyards for numerous submarines from various nations, each with its own story of valiant service and tragic demise. Among these were several British submarines that, for decades, remained lost to the depths, their fates shrouded in mystery. However, after 80 years, one of these long-lost vessels has been reportedly discovered off the coast of Norway. This discovery marks a significant moment, turning a page in the history of naval warfare and underwater archaeology. The submarine, once a symbol of wartime strategy and technological prowess, has undergone a remarkable transformation. Decades of submersion have repurposed this man-made leviathan from a tool of war into a thriving sanctuary for marine life. The creatures now inhabiting its steel confines are so unusual and bizarre that even seasoned researchers have labeled them as strange. This transition from a weapon of destruction to a bastion of oceanic biodiversity underscores the resilience of nature and its ability to reclaim even the most unlikely places. This discovery prompts curiosity about what other secrets lie hidden within the world's oceans. It raises intriguing questions about the other abandoned submarines resting on the seabed, each potentially hosting its own unique ecosystem of unimaginable creatures. As explorations continue and technology advances, perhaps more of these underwater relics will be found, revealing not only forgotten chapters of human history, but also showcasing the incredible adaptability of life in the ocean's depths. Number 5. U-995 Submarine. Constructed amidst the turmoil of World War II, U-995 was launched from the docks of Hamburg on November 25, 1942. It was officially commissioned into service on September 16, 1943, with Oberleutnant Walter Kopp at the helm as its first commander. This Type VIIC/41 U-boat, a testament to German engineering, was far more than just a massive structure of metal. It was a true predator of the seas. With a surface displacement of 759 tons and a submerged displacement of 860 tons, U-995 boasted an impressive length of 220 feet 2 inches and a beam of 20 feet 4 inches. Throughout its service, U-995 completed 9 patrols and participated in 5 Wolfpack operations, underscoring the strategic significance of U-boats in the Battle of the Atlantic. Its record of success included sinking 3 merchant ships and 1 warship, in addition to rendering another merchant ship a total loss, demonstrating its formidable capabilities. In May 1945, U-995 was surrendered to the British and subsequently transferred to Norway, where it served under the name Cora. Eventually, in 1971, it was sold back to Germany for a nominal fee of 1 Deutsche Mark, symbolizing its ceremonial return. Today, U-995 stands as a proud exhibit at the Lebeau Naval Memorial near Kiel. This former hunter of the seas now serves as a museum, offering visitors a unique glimpse into the past and preserving the legacy of the U-boats and their crew during one of history's most significant maritime conflicts. Number 4. The U-534. Commissioned on December 23, 1942, the U-534 served a unique role during its operational life. Primarily utilized as a platform for weapons testing, it was not a frontline combat vessel in the traditional sense. Additionally, it functioned as a weather ship in the North Atlantic, strategically collecting meteorological data critical for military operations. However, its service came to an abrupt halt on May 5, 1945, when U-534 was sunk in the Kattegat, approximately 12 miles northeast of the Danish island of Anholt. At the time, U-534 was attempting to form a convoy to continue its journey northward, but came under attack by 2 British RAF Liberator aircraft. Remarkably, the crew of U-534 managed to shoot down one of the bombers and evade 9 depth charges. Despite their efforts, they were struck by a depth charge from the second bomber, causing severe damage to the submarine. It began to take on water and eventually sank. All 52 crew members made it out of the submarine. Initially, 5 were trapped but later managed to escape through the torpedo loading hatch. Tragically, 1 crew member succumbed to lung damage, and 2 others died from exposure to the cold water. The story of U-534 did not end with its sinking. On August 23, 1993, it was salvaged and transported to Woodside Ferry, Birkenhead, where it underwent a transformation into the U-Boat Story Museum. This museum offers a unique glimpse into the past, preserving the legacy of U-534 and providing insights into submarine operations during World War II. Number 3. USS Ling. The USS Ling, or SS-297, a Palau-class submarine, was named after the cobia fish, also known as the Ling. Its construction began on November 2, 1942, at the Cramp Shipbuilding Company in Philadelphia. However, it wasn't until August 15th of the same year that the Ling was launched, marking an unusually lengthy interval before its commissioning on June 8, 1945. This delay was atypical for World War II submarines and resulted in the Ling's entry into service being somewhat anticlimactic, given that the war was nearing its conclusion. Despite the prolonged wait for her to join the fleet, the Ling's active service was comparatively brief, as she was decommissioned in October 1946. However, the story of the Ling took a turn in the 1960s when she was repurposed as a training vessel in Brooklyn, New York. Here, she simulated submarine operations, providing valuable training opportunities. After her training service concluded, the Ling was donated to the Submarine Memorial Association. Through dedicated restoration efforts, she was brought back to near-mint condition. In 1972, the Ling began a new chapter as a museum ship, opening to the public in Hackensack, New Jersey. This transition allowed the Ling to serve as an educational tool, offering visitors insights into the history and operation of submarines, thereby ensuring that her legacy lived on beyond her active naval service. Number 2. Tanine submarine. Launched on June 14, 1965, and commissioned into service on February 24, 1966, the Tanine stands out for its distinctive 3-cylinder design. This unique feature positioned the Tanine as a formidable adversary against Soviet submarines, securing its place as a crucial component of NATO's defense strategy throughout the Cold War. Constructed at the Wilton-Feyenoord shipyard in Schiedam, the Tanine had an overall length of 256 feet 11 inches and a beam of 25 feet 7 inches, dimensions that were ideally suited for deep diving operations. In terms of propulsion, the Tanine was equipped with 2 diesel engines and 2 electric motors. This setup allowed it to achieve speeds of up to 14.5 knots when surfaced and 17 knots while submerged. Its armament included 4 21-inch torpedo tubes located at both the bow and stern, underscoring its prowess as a combat vessel. After serving for a quarter of a century, the Tanine was decommissioned on January 10, 1991. However, its story did not end there. In the summer of 1994, the Tanine was given a new purpose as a museum ship at the Dutch Navy Museum in Den Helder. Today, it holds the distinction of being the only submarine in the country that is accessible to the public, offering visitors a unique opportunity to explore a piece of naval history